After dinner, all the guns turned out to come for turtle age on the bar. They went about poking sticks into the sand, and when they found a soft place, they went down on their knees and dug with their hands. Sometimes they would take 50 or 60 eggs out of one hole. They were perfectly round, white things and trifling smaller than an English walnut. They had a famous field-age feast that night, and another of Friday morning. After breakfast, they went whooping and prancing out on the bar and chased each other round and round, shedding clothes as they went until they were naked, and then continued the frolic war away up the shoal water of the bar against the stiff current, which later tripped their legs for under them from time to time and greatly increased the fun. And now and then they stopped in a group and splashed water in each other's face with their palm, gradually approaching each other with averted face to avoid the strangling sprite, and finally creeping and struggling till the best man to get his neighbor, and then they all went under in a tangle of white legs and arms and came up blowing, sputtering loudly and gasping for breath at one and the same time. When they were well exhausted, they would run out and sprawl on the dry, hot sand and lie there and cover themselves up with it. And by and by break for the water again and go through the original performance once more. Finally, it occurred to them that their naked skin represented flesh-colored teeth very vividly. So they dreamed of being in the sand and had a circle with three clouds in it, for none would yield this proudest post to his neighbor. Next they cut their marble and played snooks and rings down and keeps till that amusement great style. Then Joe and Hung had another swim, but Tom would not venture because he found that in kicking off his trousers he had kicked his string of rattlesnake wattles of his ankle, and he wondered how he had escaped secret cramp so long without the protection of this mysterious charm. He did not venture again until he had found it, and by that time the other boys were tired and ready to rest. They gradually wandered apart, dropped into the rooms, and fell to gazing longingly across the quiet river to where the beach lay drowsing in the sun. Tom found himself greeting Becky in the sand with his big toy. He scratched it out and was angry with himself for his quickness, but he growled it again. Nevertheless, he could not help it. He erased it once more and then took himself out of temptation by driving the other boy together on join them. But Joy's spirit had gone down almost beyond resurrection. He was so homesick that he could hardly endure the mystery of it. The tears lie very near the surface. Hung was melancholy too. Tom was downhearted, but tried hard not to show it. He had a secret which he was not ready to tell yet. But if this mutant depression was not broken up some, he would keep to bring it out. He sighed with a great show of cheerfulness. I bet there's been pirates on this island before, boys. Well, explore it again. They hid treasures there somewhere. How you felt to lie on a wooden chest full of gold and silver, eh? But is Wowset only find enthusiasts which fades out with no reply? Tom tried one or two other seductions, but they failed too. It was discouraging work. Joyce sat poking up the sand with a stick and looking very glum. Finally, he sighed. Oh boy, let's give it up. I want to go home. It's so lonesome. Oh no, Joy. You'll feel better by and by, sighed Tom. Just think of the finished that's here. I don't care for fishing. I want to go home. But Joy, there ain't such other swimming place. anywhere. Swimming's no good. I don't seem to care for it somehow when there ain't anybody to say I shall not go in. Oh, I mean to go home. Oh, shucks, baby. You want to see your mother? I'm the count. Yes, I do want to see my mother. And you will too. If you had one, I ain't any more baby than you are. And Joy sniffled a little. Well, let the cry baby go home to his mother, and we hung. Poor thinking, guys, it want to see its mother, and so it shall. You like it here, don't you, Hunk? We'll stay, won't we? Hunt say, yes, without any heart in it. I'll never speak to you again as long as I live, said Joy, rising. Turn now, and he moved moodily away and began to dress himself. Who cares? Sighed Tom. Nobody wants you to go long home and get lounged at. Whoa, you are a nice pirate, Hunk. And me ain't crybaby. I will stay, won't we, Hunk? Let's hang go if he want to. I reckon we can get along without him. Perhaps. But Tom was uneasy, nevertheless, and was alarmed to see Joe go swiftly and with his dressing, and then it was discomforting to see Hunk eyeing Joe's preparations so wistfully and keeping up such an ominous silence, presently without a parting word. Joy began to wait off toward the Indian shore. Tom's heart began to sink. He glanced at Hunk. Hunk could not bear the look and dropped his eyes. Then he said, I want to go to Tom. I was getting so lonesome anyway, and now I'd be words. Let's us go. Do some. I want. You can all go if you want to. I meant to stay. Tom, I better go. Well, long was hindering you. Hunk began to pick up his scarlet clothes. He said, Tom, I wish you'd come too. Now you thinking it over. I'll wait for you when we get to shore. Well, you'll wait a lame long time at all. Whom started sorrowfully away, and Tom stood looking after him with a strong desire tugging at his heart to yield his prize and go along. He hoped the boys won't stop, but they still quite slowly on. It suddenly dawned on Tom that it was become very lonely and still. He made one final struggle with his prize, and the darted after his comrades, yelling, Wait, wait, I'm going to tell you sometime. They presently stopped and turned around. When he got to where they were, he began unfolding his secret, and they listened motley till at last they saw the point. He was driving up, and then they set up a whirlpool of applause and said it was splendid, and said if he had told them at first, they wouldn't have started away. He made a plausible excuse, but his real reason had been the fear that not even the secret would give them with him any very great length of time, and so he had meant to hold it in reserve as a last seduction. The lad came quietly back and went at they sport again with a wheel, chattering all the time about Tom's stupendous plan and admiring the genius of it. After a daintily aged and fish dinner, Tom said he wanted to learn to smoke now. Joy caught at the idea and said he would like to try too. So Hunk made pipes and filled them. Their novices had never smoked anything before but cigarettes made of grapevine, and they bit the tongue and were not considered manly anyway. Now they stretched themselves out on their elbows and began to puff sharply and with slender confidence. The smoke had a unpleasant taste, and they gagged a little, but don't say, "Wait, it's just as easy. If I'd known that this was all, I'd learned it long ago." "So why?" sighed Joy. "It's just nothing." Well, many a time I looked at people smoking and thought, well, I wish I could to that, but I never thought I could sign to. That's just the way with me held it home will be heard metal use that way. I'm not you home. I'll live if the hunt if I haven't. Yes, heaps of time. Sighed home. Well, I have to, sighed Tom. Oh, hundreds of times on down by the slaughterhouse. Don't you remember, Hunk? Bob Tanner was there, and Johnny Miller and Jeff Thatcher. When I said it, don't you remember, Hunk? Both me saying that. Yes, that's so, sighed Hunk. That was the day after I lost a white alley. No, well, it was the day before. There I told you so, said Tom. Whom we called it. I believe I could smoke this pipe all time, said Joy. I don't feel sick. Neither do I, sighed Tom. I could smoke it all day, but I bet you Jeff Thatcher couldn't. Jeff Thatcher? Why, he'd kill over juice with 2 drums. Just let him try it once. He'd see. I bet he would. And Johnny Miller. I quiz could see Johnny Miller that'll it ons. Oh, don't I, sighed Joy. Way I beat you, Johnny Miller could not anymore do this than nothing. Just one little snifter would fetch him. that I would joy say I wish the boy could see who's now. So do I say, boys, don't say anything about it. And sometime when they are wrong, I'll come us to you and say, Joy got a pie. I want a smoke. And you'll say, kind of careless, like, had if it were not anything, you'll say, you it got my old pipe. And another one, put my tobacco ain't not very good. And I'll say, oh, that's alright if it's strong enough. And then you'll out with the bites. Out well like up use has KM and then use CM lock by jinx that'll be gay. Tom. I wish it was now. So do I. And when we tell we learn it when we was of parenting one day which they being alone. Oh, I reckon not. I just bet they will. So the task one but presently it began to flag a trifle and grown disjointed. The silence quite net. The expectoration marvelously increased. Every pore inside the boy's chest became a spoonting fountain. They would scarcely bite out the cellars under their tongues fast enough to prevent on inundations, little overflowings, and down their throat occurred in spite of all they could do. And to them, retchings followed every time. But boys were looking very pale and miserable now. Judge Spy dropped from his nevertheless fingers. Tom's followed, but Fountain were going furiously and both punched violently with Mike and mine. Joyce said feebly, I've lost my knife. I reckon I better go and find it. Don't say with quivering lips and halting utterance. I heard you. You go over that way and I'll hunt around by the spring. No, you need now come. Hunt, we can't find it. So Hunt sat down again and waited an hour. Then he found it lonesome and went to find his comrades. They were quite apart in the woods, but very pleased, but fast asleep. But sometime informed him that if they had had any trouble, they had got rid of it. They were not talkative at supper that night. They had a humble look, and then Hunk prepared his pipe after the meal and was going to prepare theirs. They said no. They were not feeling very well. Sometimes their aunt at dinner had disagreed with them. About midnight, Joy woke and called the boys. There was a brooding oppressiveness in the air that seemed to bode sometime. The boys humbly themselves together and saw the friendly companionship and the fire. Through the dull that had of the breathless atmosphere was stifling. They sat still, intent and waiting. The solemn hush continued. Beyond the light of the fire, everything was swallowed up in the blackness of darkness. Presently, that came a quivering cloud, vaguely rebelled to foliage for a moment and then vanished. By and by, another came, a little strong, then another, then a fine mound came signaling strong that the branch of the forest and the boys felt a fleeting breath upon their cheeks, and shuddered with the fancy that the spirit of the night had come by. There was a pause. Now a quiet flash turned night into day and showed every little glass blade, separate and distinct, that crept above their feet, and it showed three white, starlit faces too. A deep peal of thunder went waddling and tumbling down the heavens and lost itself its solemn rumbling in the distance, and squibs of
Chilly air passed by, rustling all the leaves and snowing the flasky ashes broadcast above the fire. Another fire glare lit up the forest, and an instant crash followed, that seemed to rent the treetops right over the boys' heads. They clung together in terror. In the thick gloom that followed, a few big raindrops fell pattering upon the lips. Quick, boys, go for the tent, exclaimed Tom. They sprang away, scrambling over roots and among vines in the dark, no two plunging in the same direction as furious blast roared through the trees, making everything sing as it went. One blinding flash after another came, and peal on peal of deafening thunder, and now a drenching rain poured down, and the rising hurricane drove it in sheets along the ground. The boys cried out to each other, but the roaring wind and the booming thunderblast drowned their voices utterly. However, one by one, they struggled in at last and took shelter under a tent, cool, scarred, and streaming with water. But the two-half company in misery seemed something to be grateful for. They could not talk. The old sail flapped so furiously, even if the other noises would have allowed them. The tempest rose higher and higher, and presently the sail tore loose from its fastenings and went winging away on the blast. Boys seized each other's hands and fled, with many tumblings and braces to the shelter of the great oak that stood upon the river bank. Now the battle was at highest under the ceaselessly conflagration of lightning that flaming in the skies, everything below it stood of the inclined and shameless distinctness, the bending trees, the billowing river white with foam that didn't spread of smooth flakes to the up like high bluff. On the other side glimpsed through the drifting cloud crack and the slanting veil of rain. Every little while some giant tree yielded the fight as fell, and fell crashing through the jungle road, and the unflagging thunder peals came now in earth-splitting explosive bursts, cannon sharp and unspeakable appalling, the story culminating in a matchless effort that seemed likely to tear to the island in pieces, burn it up, drowning the tree troops, blow it away, deafening every creature in it all at one and at the same moment. It was a weird night for harmless young heats to be out in, but at last battle was done and forces retired with weaker and weaker threatenings and grumblings, and peace resumed her sway. The boys went back to camp a good deal awed, but they found there was still something to be thankful for, because the great sycamore, the shelter of their beds, was a ring now blasted by the lightnings, and they were not under it when catastrophe happened. Everything in camp was drenched, the campfire as well, for they were but heedless lads, like their generation, and had made no provision against rain. Here was matter for this merry, for they were soaked, through chilled. They were eloquent in their distress, but they presently discovered that the fire had eaten so far up under the great log it had been built against, that a handbreadth or so of it had escaped within, so that they patiently worked until with shreds and bark gathered from the underside of sheltered logs, they coaxed the fire to burn it again. Then they piled on great dead boughs till they had roaring furnace and were glad-haired once more. They dried their boiled ham and had a feast, and after that they sat by the fire and explained and glorified their midnight adventure until morning, for there was not a dry spot to sleep on anywhere around. As the sun began to steal in upon the boys, Drowsiness came over them and they went out on the sandbar and lay down to sleep. They got scorched out and by a drearily set about getting breakfast. After the meal, they felt rusty and stiff-jointed and little homesick once more. Tom saw the things and fell to cheering up the pirates as well he could, but they cared nothing for marbles or circus or swimming or anything. He remained until of the imposing secret raised a red cheer. While it lasted to got them interested in a new device. This was not of being pure pirates for a while and be Indians for a change. They were attracted by this idea, so it was not long before they were stripped from head to heel with black mud, like so many zebras of the chiefs, of course, and then they went tearing through the woods to attack an English settlement. By and by, they separated into three hostile tribes and darted upon each other from ambush with dreadful werewolves and killed and scalped each other by thousands. It was a gory day. Consequently, it was extremely satisfactory one. They assembled in camp towards suppertime, hungry and happy, but now a difficulty arose. Hostile Indians could not break the breath of that hospitality together without first making peace and his and this was a simple impossibility without smoking a pipe of peace. There was no other process that ever they had heard of. Two of the savage almost wished they had remained pirates. However, there was no other way, so with such show of cheerfulness as they could muster, they called for the pipe and took their whiff as it passed it into form. And behold, they were glad they had gone into savagery, for they had gained something. They found that they could now smoke a little without having to go and hunt for a lost knife. They did not get sick enough to be seriously uncomfortable. They were not likely to fool away this tight promise for lack of effort. Though they practiced cautiously after supper with right fierce sauces, and so they spent a jubilant evening. They were so prouder and happier in their new acquirements than they would have been scalping a skinny of the six.
Nations, we will leave them to smoke and chatter and brag, since we have no further use of them at present. But there was no hilarity in the little town that same tranquil Saturday afternoon. The Harpers and Polly family were being put in the morning with great gift and many terrors, and usual could possess that village although it was ordinary fate enough. It now convinced the village conduct their concert without associate, and thought little menacing of that Saturday holiday seemed a burden to the children. They had no heart in their sports and gradually gave them up. In the afternoon, Becky Thatcher found herself mopping up the desert's Goodhill's yard and being very melancholy. When she found nothing there was to comfort her, she soliloquized. "Oh, if only I had brains and did not knob again! But I haven't got anything now to remember him by," and she shot back to a little sob. Presently she stopped and said to herself, "It was right here. Oh, if I saw it over again, I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say it the whole world. But he's gone now. I'll never see him any more." These two worked her down, and she walked away, with tears running down her cheeks. Then quite a group of boys and girls, playmates of Tom and Joe's, came by, and stood looking over the paling fence and talking in reverent tones of how Tom did so and so the last time he saw him, and how Joe said this and that, a small drift, pregnant and awful prophecy, as if looking ahead now. And each speaker pointed to be the exact spot where those lines stood at the same time, and then added something like, "I was standing you so you say up now." as if you was him, if I also felt that. Then his mind used his way, and then something seemed to go over me, like awful, I never thought of it, of course I can see now. Then there was a dispute about who saw the dead boys in that life, and claimed that demand distinction and offered evidence, more or less tampered with the witness when its ultimate decide that who did this she departed last. And the checked the last word with them, the other parties took upon themselves and such cracked the importance. And we left and invite by all the rest, one poor chap that had no more deal to offer. Said we tried to manifest pride in the remembrance. Well, Tom Sawyer, he licked me once. But that before glory was a failure. Most of the boys could say that, and so was cheapened the distinction too much. The fruit floated away, still reaching memories of the lost heroes, in awed voices. When she saw the school work was finished, the next morning they began to tune. Instead of ringing the usual way, it was very still Sabbath, and one foresaw seemed implied in the most church the slight upper nature. The villagers began to gather round in a moment in the distance, the conversing whispers around the sad man. But there was no whispering in the house, only the furtive wristing of roses and the woman guard with their seats boosted and silent there. None could remember when the titled church had been so full before. There was finally a waiting pause and expected dullness, and then Aunt Polly entered, followed by Sid and Mary. Then by the Harper family, Alice Deep Black, and the whole congregation, the old minister as well, Rose Reverend stood until the mourners were sitting in the front pew. There was another consuming silence, broken at intervals by muffled sobs, and then the minister spread his hands and wrote and prayed. A moving hymn was sung, and the text followed, I am the resurrection and the life. As the service proceeded, the great man grew a such picture of the graces, the winning ways, and the rare promise of those lads, that every soul there thinking he recognized these pictures felt a pang in memory that he had persisted in himself to them always before. And as persistency only paths and flaws and the poor boys, the minister related many a touching incident in the lives of the party too, which illustrated their sweet, generous natures. And the people could easily see now how noble and beautiful such episodes were, and remember with grief at the time they occurred they had seen bright realities. While the serving of the cowhide, the congregation became more and more moved as the pathetic tale went on. This as the nice cold company broke down and joined the weeping mourners in a chorus of engaged sobs, the preacher himself giving way to his feelings and crying in the pulpit. There was a rustling in the gallery which nobody noticed. A moment later the church door cracked. The minister raised his tearlike eyes above his handkerchief, and stood fast fixed. First one, then another, and paid five followed the minister, and then almost with no one impulse, the congregation rose and started, while the dead boys came marching up the aisle top in the lip, young necks and hug are broken racks, sleeping in the rear. They had high in the unused gallery listening to their own funeral sermon. Aunt Polly, Mary, and the harpistry themselves and the restored ones, smaller than with cases at part of the Thanksgivings, while poor Stuck stood abashed and uncomfortable, not working exactly what to do or where to hide the summon in welcome eyes. He waffled and started whistling away with Tom seized him and said, Aunt Polly, it ain't fair, somebody ought to be glad to see Huck. And so they shall, I'm glad to see him, poor motherless thing. And the loving attention Aunt Polly lavished with him were the ones thing capable of making him overlook uncomfortable that he was before. Suddenly the minister shouted at the top of his voice, praise God from a blazing flow. Sing, applaud your heads in it. And they did. All 100 feet of my judgment burst. And while it shook, the restless Tom Sawyer, the prey looked around at the evening jubilings around him, and confessed his sorrow that he was the proudest moment of his life. And his whole congregation throve on that, they said, would almost be willing to be ridiculous again to hear all 100 sung like that once more. Tom got more cups and kisses that day, according to Aunt Polly borrowed moods that he had earned before in a year, but he hardly knew which expressed the most gratefulness to God and affection for himself.
Chapter 18. That was Tom's great secret. The scheme to return home with his brother pirates and attend their own funerals. They had paddled over to the Missouri shore on a log, at dusk on Saturday.
landing 5 or 6 miles below the village. They had slept in the woods at the edge of the town till nearly daylight, and had then crept through back lanes and alleys and finished their sleep in the gallery of the church among a shout of invalid benches. At breakfast Monday morning, Aunt Polly and Mary were very loving to Tom, and very attentive to his wants. There was an unusual amount of thought in the course of it. Aunt Polly said, "Well, I don't say it wasn't a fine joke, Tom, to keep everybody suffering must get with, so you boys had a good time. But it is a pity you could be so hard-hearted as to let me suffer through. If you thought come over on a log to go to your funeral, you could have come over and get me a hint some way that you were did, but only wrong off." "Yes, you could have done that, Tom," said Mary, "and I believe you would if you had thought of it." "Would you, Tom?" said Aunt Polly, her face lighting with fury. "Say now, would you, if you thought of it?" I don't know. To go spoiled everything. Tom, I hope you love me that much," said Aunt Polly, with a great big tone that discomforted the boy. "It would have been something if you'd cared enough to think of it, even if you didn't do it." "No, Auntie, that ain't any harm," pleaded Mary. "It's only Tom's giddy way. He is always in such a rush that he never thinks of anything. More's the pity. Sid would have thought, and Sid would have come and done it, too. Tom, you look bad. Some day, when it's too late, and wish you cared a little more for me when it would have cost you so lightly. No, Auntie, you know I do care for you," said Tom. "It now it better if you act more like it." "I wish now it does," said Tom, with a repentant tone. "But I dreamt about you, anyway. That's something, ain't it?" "It ain't much. A car does the much, but isn't better than nothing. What did you dream?" "Why, Wednesday night I dreamed that you was sitting over there by the head and Fit was sitting by the one boats and Mary next to him. Well, so we did, so we always do. I'm glad your dreams could take even that much trouble about us. And I dreamed that Joy Harper's mother was her. Why, she was her. Did you dream any more? Oh, lost. But it's sudden now. Well, try to recall it. Can you? Somehow it seems to me that the wind, the wind blew with the. Try harder, Tom. The wind did blow something. Come. Tom pressed his fingers on his forehead an anxious minute, and then said, I've got it now. I've got it now. It blew with the thunder. Mercy on us. Go on, Tom. Go on. And it seems to me that you said, why, I believe that the door. Go on, Tom. Just let me study a moment. Just a moment. Oh, yes, you said you believe it. The door was open. As I'm sitting here, I didn't I Mary go on. And then, and then, well, I won't he be certain. But it seems like as if you made it go and well, well, what did I make him do, Tom? What did I make him do? You made him, you. Oh, you made him shoot it. Well, for the land's sake, I never heard the beat of that in all my days. Don't tell me there ain't anything in dreams anymore. Certainly Harper shall know of this before an hour older. I'd like to see her get around this with her rubbish about superstition. Go on, Tom. Oh, it's all getting just as bright as day. Now, next you said I want war, but only Miss Bowes and Harun Stadium, and not any more responsible than I think it was a tool or something, and so it was. Well, goodness gracious. Go on, Tom, and then you begin to try. So I did. So I did. Not the first time. Neither. And then Mr. Harper began to try, and said her was just the same, and she wished she hadn't with him for touching cream when She throwed it out her own self. Tom, the spirit was upon you. You was a procession. That's what you was doing. Land alive. Go on, Tom. Then sit, he said. He said, I don't think I said anything. Said, sit. Yes, you did. Sit, said Mary. Shoot your head and let Tom go on. What did he say, Tom? He said, I think he said he hoped that I was better of where I was gone to, but if it been better somethings. There, that you heard that. It was his very words. And you shoot him up sharp. I did. There must been an angel there. There was an angel there, somewhere. And Mr. Harper thought about Joy starring her with a firecracker. And you thought about Peter and the painkiller, just as true as alive. And then there was a good lot of talk about drawing the river for us, and about having the funeral Sunday. And then you and old Miss Harper hewed and tried, and she went. It happened just so. It happened just so. As sure as I sitting in this very tracks. Tom, you couldn't toot it more like if you'd seen it. And then what? Go on, Tom. Then I know you cried for me, and I could see you and hear every word you said. And so went to be, and I was so sorry that I took and wrote on a piece of sycamore bark. We ain't dead. We are only off being pirates, and put it on the table by the candle. And then you looked so good, lying there asleep, that I thought I went and leaned over and kissed you on the lips. Did you, Tom? Did you? I just forgive you everything for that. And she seized the boy in a touching embrace that made him feel like the witches of beginnings. It was very clean, even though it was only a dream. Sit soldiers just audible. Shut up. Sit. A body does just the same in a dream as he'd do if he was awake. Here's a big million apple I've been saving for you, Tom. If you was ever found again. Now go long to school. I'm thankful to the good and Father of us all. I've got you battle. Thus long suffering and merciful to them that believe on him and keep his word. Though goodness knows unworthy of it, but if only the worthy ones would his blessings and had his hand to help them over the rough place, their feel enough would smell her or ever enter into his rest when the long night comes. Go, long sit, Mary. Tom, take yourself off you. You've hindered me long enough. The children left for school, and the old lady to call on Mr. Harper and vanquish her rallies with Tom's marvelous drink. Sid had better judgment than to utter the thought that was in his mind as he left the house. It was this wretched din, as long a dream as that, without any mistakes in it. What a hero Tom was become! No, he did not go sleeping and dancing, but moved with a dignified swagger as became a pirate who felt that the public eye was on him. And indeed it was. He tried not to seem to see the looks or hear the remarks as he passed along, but they were fun and drink to him. The smaller boys than himself flocked at his heels, as proud to be seen with him and tolerated by him, as if he had been the drummer at the head of a procession or the elephant leading a messenger into town. Boys of his own size pretended not to know he had been away at all, but they were consuming with envy. Nevertheless, they would have given anything to have that swarthy, sun-tanned skin of his, and his withering notoriety, and Tom would not have parted with either for a circus. At school the children made so much of him and of Joy, and delivered such eloquent admiration from their ages, that the two heroes were not long in becoming insufferably stood up. They began to tell their adventures to country listeners, but they only began. It was not a thing lightly to have an end, with imaginations like theirs to furnish materials, and finally, when they got out their pipes and we went serenely puffing around, the very summit of glory was reached. Tom decided that he could be independent of Betty Thatcher now. Glory was sufficient. He would live for glory. Now that he was distinguished, maybe she would be wanting to meet up. Well, let her. She should see that he as indifferent as some other people. Presently she arrived. Tom pretended not to see her. He moved away and joined a group of eyes and ears and began to talk. Soon he observed that she was swiping wildly back and forth with flushed face and dancing eyes, pretending to be busy chasing schoolmates and screaming with laughter when she made a tattoo. But he noticed that she always made her tattoos in his vicinity, and that she seemed to cast a conscious eye in his direction at such times. So, too, it gratified all the vicious vanity that was in him, and so, instead of winning him, it only set him up the more and made him the more diligent to avoid betraying that he knew she was about. Presently she gave over stilting and moved irresolutely about, seeking ounce or trees and glancing furtively and wistfully toward Tom. Then she observed that now Tom was talking more particularly to Amy Lawrence than to any one else. She felt a sharp pang and we disturbed and uneasy at once. She tried to go away, but her feet were treacherous and carried her to the group. Instead, she said to a girl almost at Tom's elbow, with some vivacity, "Why, Mary Austin, you bad girl, why didn't you come to Sunday school? I did come. Didn't you see me?"
Why not did you? Where did you sit? I was a Miss Peter place where is always go. I saw you, did you? Why is funny? Didn't see you. I wanted the about picnic. That's how Olin done to keep my ma's going to let me have not. I good. I hope she'll let me come where she will. The picnics for me shall let any boy come that I want and want you. They ever so nice with those guys to be and be my about vacation or one in before you going to have a girls and boys years every on that friends to more want to be and she glasses they were her favorite atom but take it right along to Emmy Lawrence about Terry Storm on England and Boho in like thing though the great Skymore tree and two friendless while he was standing within 3 feet of it. Am I come? Said Grace Miller. Yes. And me? Said Rogers. Yes. And me too, said Susie Harper and her yes. And so on, clapping on your full hands idea the group the Harper got the four invitations, both home and Amy. Then Tom Turner, Collie were still talking and took Amy with him the king's lips trembled and the tears combed her eyes. She hit dozen the things with a force great gaiety and went on chattering about their life and gone with hello Sierra the hot doors Tom Benning who began to hate Himmlers for drowning away the chance Becky had offered for a reconciliation. He called himself a fool and the hard names could think of wanted to cry with vexation. Amy chatted happily along as they walked, for her was trying, but Tom had he kept different horror of the score again and again. The shells his eyes with the hotter space he could not help, and that maddened him to see as he thought he saw that Becky Tatter's neurons suspect that was even in the land of the living, but she did see nevertheless, and she knew she was weakening her thinking too, and was glad to see him suffer as she had suffered. Amy happy proudly become interrupted. Tom hinted at things he had to attend to, things that must be done, and time was fleeting, but in vain the girls chirped on the dog who had her. I never going to get rid of her. At last he must attending those things, and she said at lastly that she would be honored when school let out, and he hastened away, cutting her forward. Any other boy Tom granted stood any boy in the world, Tom, but that Saint Louis smart the things her dress so fine that is aristocracy. Oh, I'll write like it. You the fear that you ever said this Tom, Mister Int. I like you again. Your whose wife did catch you out and house taken.